Man, y'all saw the article. Y'all saw the article. I don't even really need to get into it. Y'all saw the article. ESPN dropped an article this past week, of course, basically dragging my man Jalen Hurts' name through the mud. And I gotta say, like, the only thing I ask is make the criticism make sense. Make the criticism make sense. Like, I'm not gonna say you can't criticize Jalen Hurts. That's not what I'm saying. Like, Jalen Hurts isn't the most perfect quarterback in the world. He doesn't have necessarily the strongest arm. He's not, even though his deep ball is close to unmatched, he's not necessarily the highest of volume passers in the NFL. But all I ask is that you make the criticism make sense. The article basically tried to blame Jalen Hurts for the lack of creativity in the offense this past year, and basically just ignoring who the play caller was. Just ignoring who the play caller was in Kevin Patullo. Like, if I'm looking at Jalen Hurts and Kevin Patullo side by side in terms of their resumes, we're talking about one guy who is a proven playoff player, an inarguable top 10 quarterback, arguable top 5 quarterback, Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, the same, only one of 2 quarterbacks who are currently still playing who has earned all-pro honors and won a Super Bowl MVP in the same season. And then you have another guy who is a first-year offensive coordinator and who decided to run 4 verts to potentially win a wild card game against the 49ers in Kevin Patullo. Like, if you're looking at those 2 resumes, you tell me who's most likely to blame for the lack of creativity in the offense. The guy who was proven to be a bona fide, inarguable top 10 quarterback in the NFL, top 5 arguable quarterback in the NFL, or the guy who just got the job yesterday. Figuratively speaking, of course. The guy who just got the job first year in that offensive coordinator position. You tell me who's most likely to blame. So I'm not saying you can't criticize Jalen Hurts, but just make the criticism make sense. Make it make sense, because it's not making sense right now. It's really not making sense right now. Like, the criticism honestly carries less weight when it's anonymous. Like, when the criticism comes from an anonymous source, it carries much less validity than information that has a face to it. Like, for example, like, anyone who has ever said anything publicly about Jalen Hurts with their face on camera, putting a name to the information, it's always been positive. It's always been pretty much the same thing. Whether it's been teammates who have talked about Jalen Hurts, or whether it's been coaches who have talked about Jalen Hurts, people in the front office talking about Jalen Hurts. Like, for example, Jahan Dotson just praised Jalen Hurts the other day, face on the camera. Praised him for his leadership, his ability to perform on the field, his ability to win games. N'Kobe Dean has gone on record praising Jalen Hurts for those same things. Devontae Smith has gone on record praising Jalen Hurts for those same things. Even Brandon Graham, like, BG's interview in terms of what he told the media last year about Jalen Hurts' fractured relationship with A.J. Brown, that wasn't even criticism about Jalen Hurts. That was just acknowledging the fact that there were issues in communication that was being had or wasn't being had between those 2 stars on the Eagles. That wasn't even criticizing Jalen Hurts. That was just telling the truth, giving the media some insight in terms of what's happening in the locker room. Anyone who has ever put a face to any statement, public statement regarding Jalen Hurts, it has always been positive, and it has always been along the same lines. Nick Sirianni has had nothing but good things to say about Jalen Hurts. Even Jeffrey Lurie, the owner of the Eagles, just this past week was praising Jalen Hurts for his ability to be a clutch quarterback, a winning quarterback, a high-value competitor. Like, anyone who has ever put their face to the information has always had nothing but positive things to say. Information that comes from an anonymous source does not carry as much weight. It does not carry as much weight. Like, we have to take information that comes from anonymous sources with a grain of salt. Like, as a news reporter, I have to take information that I get and interviews and information that I get from anonymous sources with a grain of salt. Like, I can't use every soundbite that I get from doing an interview with someone who chooses to have their face and identity concealed or off camera. I can't use every soundbite, because that anonymous person, if they are accusing so-and-so of doing this and that, I have to listen to some of that with a grain of salt, and I can only use some of what they are telling me, because that person could just be saying anything about this other person over here without having to worry about any of the repercussions, any of the blowback that person might face or might be liable to from revealing that information. I can't use every bit of information, every soundbite from, I can't use certain sound bites from this anonymous person over here, depending on what they are saying about this person over here, because they're choosing to remain anonymous. They're not putting a face to the information that is being told. So you have to take, we have to take this information about Jalen Hurts, these accusations about Jalen Hurts, this inside information about Jalen Hurts with a grain of salt, because that person clearly didn't have enough of a bravado or enough of a confidence to stay 10 toes down and put a face to what they were saying. So we have to take information from anonymous sources with a grain of salt. That's the same, that rule applies in news, but it also applies in this situation right now regarding Jalen Hurts. We have to take it with a grain of salt. I'm honestly convinced that the source as well, I'm honestly convinced that this anonymous source is not a member of the team. I'm convinced that this source is not a member of the team, because any other member of the team, any member of this organization or team that has publicly spoken, that has publicly talked about Jalen Hurts, has had nothing but positive things to say. Nothing but positive things to say. What we're reading in this article doesn't match up with what public faces, with what public people, with what public sharers of information regarding the Eagles team and regarding Jalen Hurts has said in the past. It doesn't line up, because anything that anyone else has said publicly about Jalen Hurts has always been positive, has always praised his leadership, has always praised his ability to perform, his ability to produce in big moments. Teammates, coaches, people in the front office, people in the administration, nothing but praises for one. Nothing but praises for QB1. Teammates like Jahan Dotson, Brandon Graham, Devontae Smith, Nakobe Dean, even Jason Kelce, a bona fide Hall of Famer, have had nothing but great things to say about QB1. But now we're supposed to take this tidbit of information coming from someone who didn't even want to put their face to the info, their face to the quotes. We're supposed to take that information seriously. I'm not doing that. I'm not taking this piece of information seriously coming from someone who didn't even want to put their name on it, who didn't want to stamp their name behind it. I'm not taking that information seriously when several other occasions I have heard guys who actually have put their name behind their statement, have put a face to the camera, have put a face to the info, have put a face to the quotes, have said the complete opposite, did a complete 180 in regards to this article. I've said the complete opposite about Jalen Hurts, and that he is a guy who is open to change. He is a guy who is willing to do whatever it takes to win games. That he is a guy who is capable of leading men both on the field and off the field. I can't take the information in this article seriously when it comes from someone who didn't even want to put a face or a name to what they are spewing in this article. I can't take it seriously. And honestly, this article is just another form of ignoring winning. It's another form of ignoring winning. Once again, we are praising the regular season guys and punishing the postseason guy. We're doing it again. I've never seen someone get punished more for the way they win games more than Jalen Hurts. I've never seen someone get punished more for the way they win games. Winning in the NFL is not easy. Winning in the game of football is already a hard thing to do, let alone winning in the NFL, winning in the National Football League. Winning is not an easy thing to do, and we have seen that on several different occasions. We've seen that with several different quarterbacks who have had super talented teams in the past not be able to accomplish what Jalen Hurts has been able to accomplish in his career so far. Brock Purdy, 2023. He had a top 2 defense in the league, top 2 offense in the league. Elite defense with Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. Elite offense with Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle. One of the best O-lines in football for Trent Williams. Loses in the Super Bowl to Patrick Mahomes in 2023. We saw Jimmy G, similar team. Same team for the most part. Elite defense, elite offense. Lose to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Sam Darnold last year with the Vikings. Super talented Vikings team. Probably seen as one of the favorites to win it all that year. Cinderella season for Sam Darnold. First round exit against the Lions. Folded under pressure. Like Matt Stafford this year. One of the best, if not the best offense in football this year. Puka, offensive player of the year candidate. Devontae Adams. Lose to the Seahawks in the NFC Championship game. Like Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott every year. Like all the talented teams he has had in Dallas. Super talented defenses, all pros on offense, all pros on both sides of the ball playing next to him, MVP caliber numbers in the regular season. Can't make it past the second round. Like even superstars like Lamar Jackson, the best defense in all of football in 2023, super talented offense. He folds and loses to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game in 2023, 2024. Like we have seen multiple talented quarterbacks on multiple talented teams not be able to accomplish what Jalen Hurts has been able to accomplish. So we have to stop taking winning for granted when talking about quarterbacks, regardless of their situation. We have to stop taking the ability to win games for granted when we are talking about quarterbacks, regardless of their situation, because winning in the game of football, let alone the NFL, is not an easy thing to do, but it's something that Jalen Hurts makes look easy. Like Jalen Hurts is such a good quarterback, is such a winner that he makes winning look easy, which is why it's easy for people who don't really watch football to judge him for the way he wins games. Like Jalen Hurts is such a good winner, he makes it look so easy to where it makes it easy for people who don't really watch him play, maybe don't even watch the games at all, to say, hey, Jalen Hurts isn't really a good quarterback. He's just on a good team. Winning is a team stat. It has nothing to do with what Jalen Hurts does at the quarterback position. That's how easy Jalen Hurts makes winning. That's how easy Jalen Hurts makes winning look. That's how easy he makes it look. The fact that people are able to just easily jump on the train, the blame Hurts train, because he wins in a way that is not appealing to, that is not appealing to certain football watchers or certain football fans. He makes winning look so easy, some people can't even appreciate it. And that's the crazy thing. Like winning is 100% a QB stat. It is 100% a QB stat. Like, if QBs are the first to get blamed for a loss, then they also have to be the first ones to get praised for a win. Like, we got to keep, like, we have to keep it honest. We have to make the criticism make sense. If a quarterback is the first one to get blamed for an L, then he should also be the first one to get praised and get credited for a dub. Because everything goes through the quarterback. Like, and that's something Jalen Hurts has proven time and time again, that he is a winner. Like since 2022, Jalen Hurts has the highest winning percentage of any quarterback in the NFL, all while having 4 different offensive coordinators. He has about 110 passing yards with 45 interceptions, so he's proven to be efficient. He has 600 plus rushing yards, 63 rushing touchdowns, 4 consecutive playoff runs with 4 different offensive coordinators. No quarterback in the NFL today has ever done that. No current quarterback has done that. He has 2 Super Bowl appearances, four consecutive playoff runs that include 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 Super Bowl win, and 1 Super Bowl MVP. No other quarterback in today's NFL has that resume aside from Patrick Mahomes. No other quarterback aside from Patrick Mahomes has this resume of Jalen Hurts, has any resume that looks close to this resume of Jalen Hurts. But somehow he's the problem. Somehow Jalen Hurts is a problem. Even though he is the most winningest quarterback since 2022, even though he has 100 plus passing touchdowns in the NFL since 2022 with 45 interceptions, 600 plus rushing yards since 2022, 4 consecutive playoff runs, 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 Super Bowl win, 1 Super Bowl MVP since 2022, somehow Jalen Hurts is the problem. Somehow Jalen Hurts is the problem. Like, bro, we have to make the criticism make sense. Make it make sense. That's all I ask. I'm not saying you can't criticize Jalen Hurts. I'm just asking to make the criticism make sense. Because there's no way Jalen Hurts can have this resume with 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 Super Bowl MVP, like 4 consecutive playoff runs, over 100 touchdowns, very little interceptions, super efficient with the ball in his hands. Somehow he is the problem as opposed to the changing coordinators, as opposed to the first year coordinator that we had this past season in 2025. Make it make sense, bro. Make it make sense. Like this, honestly, this article ignores the significant coaching changes that Jalen Hurts has had to endure since being in the NFL, since being in Philly. Like it ignores the clear structural changes that have happened to the schematic basis of this offense. Like 4 playoff runs with 4 different coordinators. No other quarterback has had to do that since being in the league. No other quarterback. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the 1 year that Jalen Hurts does have the same offensive coordinator for going into his second year, he has his peak season. 3,700 yards, 35 total touchdowns, only 4 interceptions, a 101 passer rating, an MVP caliber, MVP runner-up season, Super Bowl appearance. That's not a coincidence that the 1 year Jalen Hurts has consistency in that offensive coordinator position, that he has his best statistical year. Like every other quarterback, all these other quarterbacks that get praised have had that consistency in the offensive coordinator position. Like Josh Allen, he's had Joe Brady since 2022. Quarterbacks coach, offensive coordinator, now going into his first year as head coach. Joe Burrow, he's had Zach Taylor calling plays since he was drafted. He's had Dan Pitcher as a QB coach from 2020 to 2023, now going into his second season as offensive coordinator for the Bengals. Lamar Jackson, Greg Roman for the first 4 years of his career, Todd Monken for the past 2 years. Like no other, like, and all 3 of those guys have combined for 1 Super Bowl appearance. Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen have all combined for just 1 Super Bowl appearance. Of course, coming from Joe Burrow against the Rams in 2021. Like no other quarterback has had to endure the many coaching changes that Jalen Hurts has had to go through during his time in the NFL. So this article completely ignores that, completely brushes past that, to just knock him for the way that he wins games, to knock him to try to put all of the blame on him for the lack of creativity in this offense. Like, honestly, Jalen Hurts is the only quarterback who gets punished for the way he wins games. Like, Jalen Hurts is punished unlike any other quarterback that really I have seen in my lifetime. Unlike any other quarterback that I've seen in my lifetime. Like, Jalen Hurts is the only quarterback that that can be punished for. Like, Jalen Hurts is the only quarterback who can be punished a year after having a career high in efficiency rating, for winning a Super Bowl MVP, putting up 35 plus points in 2 Super Bowls, like establishing himself as a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, earning All-Pro honors in the same season he's won a Super Bowl MVP, like establishing himself as the greatest quarterback of his organization of all time in the history of his organization in the Eagles. Like, Jalen Hurts is the only quarterback in the league that can accomplish all of that and still be punished like he's a scrub and like he hasn't done anything in the NFL, like he hasn't won anything. Jalen Hurts is punished like he's Lamar Jackson. Jalen Hurts is punished as if he is a worldly, super talented quarterback who has all of this success in the regular season, but who is unable to carry that over into the postseason, who is unable to live up to his potential in the postseason and actually get to, let alone win a Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts is punished unlike any other quarterback in the NFL, and it's honestly ridiculous. It's honestly ridiculous. Like, I cannot take certain analysis seriously. I can't take this analysis seriously when it comes to Jalen Hurts. Like, I can't listen to people who don't watch football say Hurts is mid because he didn't have flashy numbers. Like, I can't, bro. I can't take certain analysis seriously. Like, I can't take analysis seriously when people who don't watch football, don't watch the games, want to say Jalen Hurts is mid because he didn't have flashy numbers during the regular season. Even though he wins at a high level, continues to produce in big moments, consistently produces in big moments, impacts the game both physically and mentally. Like, I can't take that analysis seriously when he does all of those things and is still labeled as the problem. Like, I can't take that analysis seriously when Jalen Hurts has done the things that he has done on a consistent level, consistent basis, and is still labeled as the problem. That is lazy analysis, and I refuse to listen to it. Refuse.